I don't know if you can see the disgust on my face. The tom was already on the ground. He was down in there. I guess you can figure out what happened next. Gone. In my home state, the deer season lasts approximately 4 months. It starts in mid-September and ends on January 1st the following year. Along with many other hunters, I'm spending a lot of time and energy and effort in the woods. Hours turn into days and days turn into weeks. And on some hunts, you don't see anything, which is exactly what happened on this morning hunt. I'm sitting in my stand and I'm overlooking the Appalachian Mountains, videoing the fog that helps create the nickname the Smoky Mountains. But when you're hunting national forest, things can change in a hurry, and that was the case on this morning hunt. I'm sitting on a finger ridge which provides me a generous view of the area and the topography. When I look down into a holler and I notice some movement. Upon closer inspection, I notice it's 2 does. That's not what I'm looking for this morning, so I let these deer go. But when you're hunting on national forest, you got to stay vigilant and be aware of your surroundings and conscious of things going on. You got to stop, look, and listen. Sometimes as hunters, we're looking forward to that major weather change, and that was the case on this hunt. We'd had a major cold front blow through a couple days sooner, and the temperatures had dropped by about 20 degrees. And on this particular morning, we also had some light snow to go along with the 18-degree weather. And as you can see, I've got a buck working toward me, cutting across his finger ridge on this small trail. He doesn't realize that I'm sitting in my tree stand 20 feet high in a maple tree. But as this deer gets closer, the obvious is confirmed. He's just not the age class buck that I want to harvest. Now these lands aren't managed. This is the Appalachian Mountains and the hunting pressure is high. However, as a hunter, I feel like I need to try and help manage the deer herd. So by letting the younger bucks walk, I can have an older class age group of bucks that live in these mountains. And I think all hunters will agree with me that hunters are conservationists. Proceeds from our license sales every year in each state go to help maintain and develop wildlife habitat. Give this young buck 2 or 3 more years and he'll definitely be a shooter. You can tell by his body, long and lean with straight lines, that he's young and immature. When this buck matures, he will have a sway back, a protruding stomach, a thicker and broader chest and shoulder region, all of which make his legs appear shorter than they really are. At this point in a whitetail deer's life, will more nutrients start going to his rack in order for it to develop its maximum size also. But in order for a whitetail buck to get to this point in his lifespan, he has got to avoid many different things. Disease, other hunters, being gored by another deer, being run over by a vehicle, tangled in fences. There's so many things the deer has got to avoid in order to reach his maximum size. As I stated earlier, hunting in the Appalachian Mountains, you're hunting with a lot of hunting pressure and low deer density, especially when it comes to mature bucks. But I'm always on the lookout for large tracks. In this case, I come across some large tracks on an old logging road, And I take note, there's a potential that there's a large buck in this area. Typically, when you're looking for that older class buck or a mature buck, it means you've got to move around quite a bit. You have to go to where the sign's at. So you scout and you do your due diligence to find the correct sign that indicates that, hey, there's a potential that there's a large buck in the area. But sometimes it doesn't always pay off. And as you can see, I don't have a large buck in my viewfinder. I've got a squirrel. So sometimes that's the way it goes when you're hunting. As you can tell on this hunt, while I'm hiking into the woods, I come across a flock of turkeys. And something's got them very vocal this morning. I don't know if it's a coyote, bobcat, or some other predator. That's one of the things about hunting. You can always go in and learn. So I'm listening to these turkeys, listening to how they're calling. That way I can do the same thing in the spring. On this particular hunt, I really thought I was in the right place. I had done some additional scouting, found some large rubs, tremendous amount of scraping activity, large tracks. There's a lot of deer sign in there, and it was on a major food source. I knew the does would be in that area, and at this time of the year, I knew the bucks would be coming through this feeding area trying to find does. But as luck would have it, the buck that came through was not the buck that I had anticipated. And as you'll see here in just a few seconds, this buck finally steps out, and you can tell he's a 1.5-year-old. But that's hunting, and that's the way it goes sometimes. You put all this time and effort into it, hoping to get that one shot that will make or break your season. So on these videos that I put together, on these hunts that I do, this is traditional hunting. This is the way it happens. You're not always successful. So I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.